And now they can hear me. Welcome to Forged at the Table. I am Charles. I'm your dungeon master. And once again, you are here for another episode of A Walk Beyond, where I am running a D&D 5th edition campaign for 5 of the most wonderful moderators from over at D&D Beyond. Of course, I say that, and I have to be completely transparent. These are the only 5 moderators I know from over there. So, of course, they're wonderful. Today's game is going to be slightly shorter by about 20 minutes than the average game, just because I have some stuff I have to take care of this afternoon. And we're hoping that in somewhere in the middle of the stream, that elusive crate will actually make an appearance today. So we might be able to do some giveaways from those wonderful people over at Easy Roller Dice Company. The crate is here in town, but the United States Postal Service seems to be very slow in the processing things. So it's here, we just can't get it because they've got to process it, which I think means that they're playing with the dice and the trays and all that sort of stuff that are there. So anyways, a couple quick announcements. Elfina, thank you for the follow 44 minutes ago. Welcome to our unique and sometimes dysfunctional family. Devin for the host. Very, very cool. And there's been a resub for 2 months. It's tier 3 from that Subsys Cyber guy. This is like the 4th time I've seen it in 2 days. So anyways, for everybody who might be wondering, you can get involved with all of our campaigns in multiple ways. If you look down below, you're going to see 2 separate lists. One is how you can give bonuses and advantage, inspiration, and this wonderful thing called fate to the players, which I don't understand why you would ever want to do something that horrendous. Or you can do the right thing and give bonuses to me, the dungeon master, because I am always behind the 8 ball. I have no control on what's happening, and I always need help. The other way that you can get involved is by going ahead and taking your wonderful hard-earned money, purchasing some bits over there at Amazon.com, giving us those bits, and you get a chance to create a couple different things. You can create recurring important locations or locales, minor recurring NPCs, or even major recurring NPCs. This includes, but is not limited to, allies, villains, nemesis, sentient weapons. And that's one that has just been talked about recently. So all of those things are on the table right now. We have an NPC that's been created such for one of the games that's happening here shortly. And then we have somebody else that stepped forward, dropped the 10,000 bits to create a nemesis for Adventures with Bubbles. So that one is taken. These are, however, I must preface this, these are limited. There is one more available for A Walk Beyond here. There's 2 available for all the other campaigns except for the Bubbles campaign, which is also down to 1. It's really, really simple. You donate the bits. You let me know. We get together on Discord and we will create it. This is not an NPC that's going to vanish anytime soon. It will be around for quite a while. So for those folks that aren't familiar, Forged at the Table, we're all about playing games with you guys, with the viewers, the followers, the subscribers. So if you want to get involved in some games, whether it's D&D 5th edition, Star Wars, or any other of the numerous games that are coming down the pipe, we currently have 5 dungeon masters that are active on the channel, and as of last night, I am in contact with 2 more that are looking to run games. All you have to do is drop a follow on our channel, get involved over on our Discord, and keep your ears and eyes open. If you want to be a DM, all you have to do is do the same thing, get a hold of me, and I will find you players. We have 18 brand new spots opening up in games in May, so keep your eyes open for that. Currently, everything is filled. Unless you want to be a DM and you want to come over and run something, we can definitely find you players. That's the whole thing. We're trying to build a community, so that's the spiel on that. As you can see down below, you'll see us proudly flying that D&D Beyond logo. That logo you will see on all of our 5th edition games, because Me personally, that's the only thing that I use for Dungeons and Dragons 5th edition is D&D Beyond and the awesome tools that they've provided over there. And pretty much all of our other Dungeon Masters are doing likewise at this time. So if you haven't had a chance to go check it out, go on over to dndbeyond.com. That is D, the letter N, and D, beyond.com. Do not type in D ampersand dbeyond.com because I don't want to hear about the owl bear porn or the bear owl porn anymore. But go check them out because it's beyond your wildest dreams. I have not said that cheesy line in quite a while. So that's been fun. So anyways, we have another episode of A Walk Beyond. So I'm going to go ahead, send it around the horn. We're going to start with the wonderful Subsys Cyber, the player of Larathan Talamari. Go ahead and tell folks a little bit about you and who you're playing.
I am Subsys Cyber. I am a moderator on D&D Beyond, and I am playing Larathan Talamari. He is a rogue fighter, a little bit more on the fighter side. He's looking forward to combat soon.
Oh, great!
I cut the tape
Oh,
on it
wow.
so it's easy to open. I do not look inside.
Okay, sorry. Source, player of Ostrin Thorngage.
You're just really excited about that crate now, aren't you? Hi, I'm Source, all the way here from Singapore. I will be playing Ostrin Thorngage, who is the devout halfling cleric that doesn't control the weather yet, but may have affected it accidentally. Whoops. But yes, looking forward to not dying. And yeah, that face better been for not dying, not for anything else. Otherwise, yeah. Woo.
Firehawk 2324.
Hi, I'm Firehawk. I may have a slight obsession with D&D, but that's okay. I am playing Yorla, the young tiefling sorcerer, and I no speak common.
Storm Knight, the player of Uthal Storm, or Steelborn, Fort Smasher.
Oh, you've ruined half my intro now. Yeah, I'm Storm Knight. And yeah, I'm playing a paladin, Goliath paladin. That's about all you need to know at this point.
All right, Villain Theory, the player of Kaldor, or depending on which NPC you talk to, Kaldir, Valomir.
Yep, hey guys, I'm Villain Theory, playing the elf ranger monk who's just returned and still kind of confused.
All right, so let me go ahead and get this announcement out of the way before we kick this thing off. I am now holding a card that says, Charles, thanks for letting us be part of your channel. Michael, this is from the guys over at Easy Roller Dice. We got a lot of giveaways that are going to be coming up. I'm going to give away 3 of these during today's show. All you need to do to win one of these is be a member of the or be over here on the States, and let's go ahead and get Nightbot open really quick, and we'll get the first giveaway. We're gonna give away one of these at the first break, and then we're gonna give away 2 of them towards the end of the stream. What am I giving away, you may ask? If I can learn how to type, I'll tell you. Dice Roller just sent me this enormous box. Must be about 50 of these dice rolling cups. That is from one of their last Kickstarters. They sent me about 50 of these packages. And what is in these are just pretty cool. It's a velvet lined dice rolling cup with their branded logo on it. A set of Easy Roller dice, along with a velvet lined dice bag. Can't really see it that well. Oh, hey, how about I put it out there for people to see? So you get that. You get one of these, and then you get one of their metal D6s as well. These are random colored, though, I'm beginning to realize. So we're going to put these out. Let me get Nightbot up here, and we'll give away some dice cups, and all sorts of fun stuff. These are provided by the Easy Roller Dice Company. Ladies and gentlemen, go over to easyrollerdice.com and get involved with those wonderful people. Only type this in the chat one time, folks. I am not going to go through them and tell you what color you're going to get. It's going to be completely random, but there you go. There you go. So just for an example, that one was orange and a gold color swirl with a gunmetal black and orange lettering. I believe all the cups are black and blue. Ooh. This is gunmetal in a kind of soft gold colored die. And this, whoa, quartz swirl dice. I don't know if it's going to actually pull them up there, but wow, these are pretty nice. So you get a cup, a dice, and then the metallic D6. And I have got, whoa, that kind of looks like TARDIS colors. So I've got 3 sets of those I'm going to give away today during this show. I am going, your number one nightmare just followed. Thank you for the follow. Welcome to our unique and sometimes dysfunctional family. I'm going to give away 3 of these during this morning's stream. I'm going to give away 3 more during tonight's stream. I'm going to give away 3 more during tomorrow afternoon's stream. All you have to do this is just simply enter the Easy Roller one time, and that will be it. And you have to be living in the States, and you must be 13 or older. Please do not be 13 or younger than 13 because, well, you're violating terms of service and all that other good stuff. So, whence last we left our brave and intrepid adventurers, the DM was trying to find his notes. Our brave band of adventurers were left standing outside of a small hovel of a hut in an area of town known as the Rambles, which is nothing more than an elevated shanty town, kind of a slum. They had just got done with a meeting with one Lord Chevalgo, who is the head of the Three Winds Trading Company, one of the most powerful merchant princes in the Dragon Isles, and by default, Atheln itself. They had just struck a deal with him to sell the last bit of a place known as Fort Revel, the longtime base of operations and fort and home of the company, the legendary company of Solemn. They sold the Longhouse, and in exchange for safe passage upon one of his ships underneath the captain of Hadalwin Gildenharp, a ship known as the Singing Revenant, he requested of them to go check on a relative of one of his prized dancers, something that he appeared to believe was beneath him. He sent them along the way, and that's where they have found themselves. The company is also highly aware that it's very possible that they may have crossed a local thief lord. I will catch up on all the follows and that sort of stuff at our first break, ladies and gentlemen. Just be aware I'm not ignoring you. I am very grateful for all the support of our channel. If you do drop a follow on us, please get involved over on our Discord. As you can see, the moderators that we have here are absolutely wonderful. They're well trained by D&D Beyond. So they've got things under control. So we left off with Ostrin Thorngage inside of the small hovel, the rest of the party standing just at the entrance. The old lady, Mama Gisela, standing over by her stove. The young child, Medina, or Minda, as the old woman called her, laying sickly on the bed. She had just kind of rolled over to look over at Ostrin. Ostrin could see fingers of inky blackness, very, very pale skin, eyes sunken in, strange rivulets of black shadow moving inside of her eyes. The child obviously sick, a black tinge around the inside of her lips. The old lady standing over by the stove, still kind of half in shock that the legendary company of Solemn appeared at her door, and then also sobbing a bit as she once again focuses in on the young child that has been in her care. Just as we cut last week, Uthal's trusty steed, through words of mine, communicated to the paladin, danger, danger, danger. The five of you stand either in or around the outside entrance to this small shanty tucked away in one of the worst districts, or the worst district, and we just lost Source. We're going to let Source come back in. There he is. One of the worst districts, if not the worst district, in the entire port. The smells, however, that are emptying out of here are that of highly spiced sausage, bubbling and boiling stews upon a great cast iron stove that is set in the far corner. The room is hung with cured meats and sausages and drying fish and herbs and everything that you would expect to see from somebody who makes a living cooking and selling their wares, their foods to the passersby outside. A light cough is heard coming from the sheets. Her red matted hair filled with sweat, dry. You can even see the crystalline salt from the amount of sweating. Her face drawn. You can see that she's nothing but a waif of what she once was, Ostrin. But you stand over the bed, looking down on this young girl, maybe 4. She could be older, but her current condition, it leaves you to believe that it might be hard to figure out exactly what her age is. She coughs a little bit as you stand there looking at her. And again, the horse, one last time, whispers in your mind, Uthal, danger.
Okay, I'm assuming that the horse is probably right next to me because it was standing outside on the street. Okay, kind of look quizzically at the horse, see which direction it's looking.
The horse is actually, he's facing you, but he's got his eyes shifted to inside the hut itself. He's not indicating anything outside of the hut.
Okay.
Since I was inside looking at the girl, I'd like to approach closer to kind of get a closer look to see if there's, other than just the skin and everything, is there anything that looks to be what's causing it other than just general sickness?
So are you going to actually like physically look around on the bed, like under the pillow, the blankets, that sort of thing? Or are you just going to try and do a cursory glance with your eyes?
More of a cursory glance around, just seeing is there any particular instruments or any particular herbs, etc., that is on the bedside table that the Mama Drusilla has been using to tend to the girl at all.
Okay. Go ahead and roll me a perception. Everybody can see that Ostrin's eyes kind of begin to glance about, looking from the child and kind of scanning the immediate area. You can see on his countenance that he is definitely focused and searching for something. What'd you roll?
Apparently not organizing my dice means I roll really well, and I started with a natural 20.
Oh, wow.
But I have a +0, so it's
Nice.
just 20.
Oh, that's fine. That's fine. As you kind of look around the room, your eyes, there's a small bedside table kind of set just at the head, and there's a small which would pass as a chest of drawers. It looks like nothing more than a fruit crate that's been modified with some sliding, very roughly hewn drawers, and upon that there's a burnt down candle snuff that's still there. There are some herbs, but they're mainly herbs that are used for treating like colds, that sort of thing. Obviously no match for what's going on with this child. However, when you go to when you go to look back over the child, something in her eyes catches your attention. As her mouth opens up, you hear a very soft, sickly, very tired child's voice. I feel not good, Papa. And her eyes land on you. When they do, that inky blackness that was in her eyes shifts just a bit. And you think you see, for a split second, a very dark shadowed form in her iris, kind of standing ghostly inside of her eye. You can see tattered shadow-like wings kind of unfurling behind his body or its body. And then it kind of, the inky kind of rivulets begin to kind of blur it out, and you lose the focus on it. But as you look about, you don't see anything other than that. So everything seems okay.
Other than just, the trick of the eye.
Uthal concentrates for a moment and reaches his mind out to the fey spirit that is the massive warhorse standing next to him. What is it? What do you sense?
The horse, there's an image that kind of begins to form in your mind that is of it looks like a shadowy figure, and as it begins to form in your mind's eye, what forms is a twisted male shape in the form of a shadow, literally back hunched, huge hump over the shoulder, body twisted down, a staff of inky blackness with a bit of a shimmer at the top, kind of standing there, its fingers pointing out or reaching towards something. And then you see the very edge of this child's bed form in your mind as this figure reaches out towards the child. At the very last, before the image fades, you can actually see wings slowly kind of unfurl behind it. The inky blackness, the shadow that hangs from this creature reels in your mind the taste, the scent of something most foul and most evil indeed. You kind of get the idea of like a ghost or a spirit type entity or something along those lines.
Sure. Acting on that, Ethel will nod, turn towards the door, crouch down so he can see through it, hold his arms out wide and bring them together in a massive clap, extending his hands forward as there's a slight glazed look on his eyes. And I shall use Divine Sense to see if I can see the location of any celestial, fiend, or undead presence within 60 foot.
All right, everybody's standing there. You see Uthal do this. It's something you've probably all, except for Yorla, seen before. And Yorla, you're kind of standing just right, kind of pretty close to Uthal, and this giant Goliath just slams his hands together, and this ringing clap rolls off like thunder throughout the area, through and into the room. And then you realize the thunder is actually a result of the storm that is still encroaching on the port. But as you do this, Uthal, the room kind of shifts a little bit and gets kind of a hazy, kind of a distended look, and your vision is pulled to the little girl itself. And as she's laying there, you can see the outline both of her upper body, which is slightly left open for vision, and that underneath the covers, the torn and tattered woolen blanket that's covering her. You can see the outline of her small, very slight, sickly frame, and you begin to see the outline of an inky black veil of darkness that is surrounding her, and in a strange way slowly thrumming or pulsing as if with her heartbeat, indicating that whatever it is in the hut and may be in possession of this very sickly child.
Hey, are we done yet?
At the sound of the clap from Uthal, I'm going to turn around, facing the door, giving him a strange look. What is it that you sense, Uthal?
Spirits in the girl. a bad one. Maybe acting externally, possession, maybe curse. But there is a foul spirit acting upon her. There is a shadow that hangs above her. This is not a normal malady that afflicts her.
While they're discussing this, I'm actually going to go into the hut and start sniffing around at the food to try and calm down Mama Jesla. It smells very good in here.
And as Yorla enters into the small hovel, Ostrin's turn to face Uthal. Uthal is still looking probably past Ostrin a little bit and watching the child. The covers shift very, very slightly, but it's enough as the girl rises, almost as stiff as a board, up out of the bed, her arms small, frail, pale, and a sickly gray tone to her flesh. As her arms stretch out, she begins to rise, her feet dangling limply above the sheets, above the bed. As she rises about a foot above them, her mouth drops open, distending her jaw ever so slightly, as a voice begins to not so much call out, but more roll out very hollowly and empty and distant. Paladin, you meddle in things that are not to be meddled in. Back from my business. As the girl just sits there and hovers about a foot off of the bed, Uthal, you see almost hanging like a tattered robe around the child. You can see her worn thin nightshirt. You can see her gray flesh. But hung over this like a tattered robe, you see this very light, almost like a soft, smoky gray, and it hangs literally in tatters like fabric that's been torn by bony fingers. And it hangs off of her frame, draping down onto the bed and partially off to the floor. It's very odd looking, and you can definitely get the impression that it belongs to whatever is making this child do this, because most 4-year-olds don't hover above the bed and that sort of thing. Mama Gisela lets out a small gasp. You must help. This has been happening. Please. And she drops down with a creak of her old bones. She collapses down to her knees and prostrates in front of you, Yorla, and hence the rest of the company of Solemn. She literally prostrates down in front, her knees cracking on the earthen floor beneath her. You can hear her old bones cracking as she brings her upper body forward, her hands together in a prayer type formation. You hear her back pop, and you can see when she comes down that the many years of doing what she has done in hard labor has forced her back to twist, her spine not to be in normal position. And you can only imagine the pain that is driving through this woman as she forces herself into this position, possibly indicating how important this is. The figure, the girl standing or floating above the bed, its eyes focused squarely on you, Uthal. You can see a flicker of red rage where the eye socket should be, and a definite lack of love for you as its hand snaps out and forward towards the old woman on the ground. Initiative.
Oh, that was quick.
Yeah, people have been bugging me about this, so let's get it on. Let's get it on. Ooh. All right. So starting with Larathan. What did you get?
23.
23. Going off to Ostrin.
14.
14. Going off to Yorla.
12.
12. Uthal. I can't hear you, Uthal.
3.
Wow. That's impressive. And Kalidor.
22.
22. Alrighty. So Larathan, you for just a brief moment, what everybody else sees is you see this young child, this 4-year-old girl. You can see the sickly gray pallid skin that's pulled tight to her body. You can see her little belly pressing out against her tattered night shirt, her tattered little night robe, indicating that it's distended from lack of nourishment. You can see the kind of grayness playing around maybe in her eyes, and her hands hung down. You do not see any draping, any inky blackness, but you do hear this voice coming out. What you four hear is not what Uthal hears. What the four of you hear is a young child's whimpering voice. Please, I feel not good, Papa. I don't feel good. Uthal hears on the flip side of that the actual voice coming out. Paladin, if it is a dance you want, I will take the child first. Larathan, you have initiative.
Well, this whole time he's been keeping watch outside anyways, so he basically just looked into the door once the girl started talking, saw her hovering, and well, we have an old priest and we have a young paladin, so I think that will be good. He sits back and keeps watch.
All right, Kaldor.
Yeah, I think Kaldor's also been sort of outside just keeping watch. I guess he looks in. Yeah, he's a little bit spooked. He's got an arrow ready. Probably got his bow out. He'll take a ready action just to shoot anything spooky that goes on, anything out of the ordinary. But he just sort of waits for now.
Okay. The child floating above the air, a hand reaches out. And you see the hand move ever so slightly. And the old woman on the ground, Mama Gisela, her body, you hear a crack in her spine as her body, she tries to remain with her hands. Her body twists and cracks as it kind of, as she tries to resist it, but her body's forced to turn and look up at the floating child. You can see tears streaming out of her. And as she does this, the apron that was just hung around her neck and untied at the waist, and her smock dress that's underneath has a split. And when this happens, you can go ahead and roll me a perception check. Everybody that's looking in. Starting with Larathan.
My attention is still outside.
Okay. Ostrin.
11.
Yorla.
22.
Wow. Uthal.
Stealing Firehawk's thunder slightly, also 22.
Oh, Kaldor.
24.
So
Bang.
Yorla, Uthal, and Kalidor, you all three see as she turns and this slip of a smock dress that she's wearing shifts ever so slightly, and you can see inky black lines. At first, it almost seems like it's an old tattoo, which wouldn't be unheard of for somebody of her lineage and where she lives and that sort of thing. But as she moves, you actually see this inky blackness this tattoo kind of shift ever so slightly on just above where her cleavage and her breasts would be, on at the base of her neck. As she kind of turns, you can see pain crease across her old, cracked, leathery skin as she looks up at this. The girl, without looking over at her, Gisela, you scorned me many years ago. Now you and this child will pay that price. Again, her eyes filling with tears, but a look of confusion comes over her old face as if she can't quite place what this creature is talking about. Ostrin Thorngage.
That's me.
Yeah.
All right. So at this point, I'm probably turning back around, seeing a hovering child pretty much in front of me. Yeah.
Yep.
I'm gonna clasp the holy symbol that hangs around my neck, holding it forward, and I would like to turn undead.
All right.
As probably the metallic holy symbol starts to crackle with just static lightning slightly, holding it forward with a blue flash.
Okay.
And I don't have any lighting effects today because the app's updating.
Oh, we'll see. We'll see. Then yeah, you fail. Go ahead. What is your saving throw for that? What's the DC?
That's a very good question. I don't normally play clerics. Hang on, I'm just going to be on my handy dandy D&D Beyond.
Yay! There it is.
You got this.
My cleric DC. 14.
14. I'm not going to roll the metal one. That just didn't even feel right rolling in my hand. You grab on to your the symbol of your god, your holy symbol, and you stretch forth with your hand, stiffening your body with a deep inward resolve, and your entire being focusing on driving this creature that you can't see, but you could definitely, from what Uthal has said and from the way things are transpiring, you can definitely gather that it's not something that's very good. And you reach out with your inner senses, with your being, and you try, and your hand, as it comes forward, you're expecting resistance, but you're expecting that resistance to break from you, and you stick your hand forward, and for a slight moment you feel your hand become icy cold, not like from snow or winter, but from lack of living energy, and you feel something slowly caress over your hand and over the holy symbol that you are holding. This child hovering, its head kind of lolling back and forth, its body beginning to move in very subtle flowing motions, lolls over at you, Ostrin. Its eyes go cold, inky black. As you feel the fingers, icy fingers, caressing your hand. Nice try, foolish little halfling. You're going to have to do much better than that. And the girl's little frame, with a loud snap and a crack, bends backwards, its rib cage bending forward as the child is bent backwards in an almost 90-degree form. And it sits there like that as this ghostly, empty empties out of her open mouth. Ostrin, you failed to turn it. Next up would be Yorla.
I want to try to get Mama Gisela, sorry, up off of the ground and out of the house away from this thing.
Alrighty. Give me one more second here. You reach down. Exactly how you're going to do it. Actually, let's do it this way.
I'm going to put my arms around her and try to lift her up.
Okay. Me too. I'm also using the handy dandy D&D Beyond. It's an amazing tool. Very, very, very amazing tool. Okay, so you reach down and you begin to bring your hands down towards Mama Gisela. And hold on. Ooh, nice. Yorla is looking down at the old lady. Everybody else is kind of, except for, of course, Larathan, who's kind of watching around the area. You see the child's attention shift ever so slightly away from Ostrin. And for a brief moment, Ostrin, Uthal, and Kaldor, you can actually see an inky, skeletal, kind of shadowy hand, kind of vapor trail as it moves away from Ostrin. Ostrin, you feel that coldness slowly replaced by the warmth of your own body as the hand kind of moves and then vanishes. The child still bent backwards in a 90-degree angle. The cackle stops. And you hear the word grovel. This word slams into you, Yorla. Give me a wisdom saving throw, please.
7.
As Yorla reaches down to help up Mama Gisela, everybody hears this deep guttural word roll out of the child's mouth. You can't see it because she's literally folded backwards, but you hear grovel. Yorla, that word slams into you like a fist from above and slams you onto the ground as you fall prone to the ground. You face it, and as Mama Gisela is sitting there trying to prostrate herself to you, to the remaining members of the company of Solemn, Yorla slams to the ground under some invisible weight and does likewise towards this child. Next would be Uthal.
Okay. When I used the divine sense, did that tell me whether it was celestial, fiend, or undead? Which one?
An odd mixture of undead and fiend.
Okay. All right. In which case, then let's double down on what Ostrin was trying, and go for channel divinity with using his oath. The doorway's not that big, so obviously you just have to reach one hand in and incants Othar, and there's a vague perception of ghostly spirits standing in the room next to him momentarily as a shimmer of force extends out, and that's trying to force the creature back. It'll be a DC of 14.
Okay.
If it is fiendish in nature.
You reach out and you channel the divine and the energy courses through you, and with your words and your outstretched hand you slam forward with every intent of pushing whatever it is that's there back and away and driving it out. As with Ostrin, however, you slam into something of fairly immense power. It might actually even cause you to maybe shift your feet, not take a step back because that's not what Uthal would do, but definitely shift and maybe set your shoulders a little bit stronger, as whatever is inside of this child is resisting your attempts to cause it to remove itself. Larathan, go ahead and roll me a perception check.
That'll be a 23.
As you said outside, and you're hearing everything that's going on kind of behind you, and you're scanning over the roofs and down some of the alleyways and stuff in the Rambles itself, you notice partway down one of the alleys, a lone figure, maybe 50, 60 feet down the alley, leaning up against another shack, very similar to the one that you see here. A very slight lithe frame, a heavy cloak pulled up over the head. You can see a bow slung across its back, and what appears to be the protrusion of some kind of a bladed weapon underneath the cloak. And it's just standing there, kind of resting its back up against the side of the shack. Normally you would pass over something like this in a city of this size, but this appears to be like the only person that's really out on the street, and just something odd about the way that they're presenting themselves, the way they're standing, and that sort of thing. You don't catch any real imminent danger off of it, just something that kind of catches your eye as you're glancing around looking for danger or anything that might be coming to bear.
Very good. I just continue watching, pretend I didn't really see him.
Kaldor.
Okay, I still haven't heard any voices. And I just see the child. Yeah.
Yeah, you see the child fold in half, and whenever this child speaks to somebody using that deep, ominous voice, unless I indicate that it's to you, what you're hearing is the child's voice begging for release, begging for help, that sort of thing.
Okay, I'm still a little bit unsure. I will look between Uthal and Ostra, and I imagine I'm sort of near Uthal at the door, and say, what is going on?
It's a creature, a fiend, maybe undead in nature as well, possessing the child.
Okay. With that, I will just ready my arrow, and I would try and sort of aim it past you. Just aim it. I'll just hold it. I'll just ready action. I'll just shoot it if I see anything sort of emerge, if anything particularly happens. But I'm not going to shoot the child.
Okay. Again, it's gonna hold. Ostrin.
Feeling the cold undead nature brushing past me before, I would like to grab the floating child and pull her down to the bed to try and protect her. And even though, small halfling, I'm probably about the right size to protect her.
So you reach out. Go ahead and roll me, let's say, an athletics to see if you can get your paws on it.
That will be a 7.
You reach out to grab her, and even though she's folded back with that cracking sound in her back, you hear that cracking kind of release, and you can picture in your minds the small, weak vertebrae in this young girl's back shifting and grinding against each other as from the 90-degree folded over position, her body literally rolls around, coming all the way around and then up to face and look down at Ostrin. As you reach out with your hand to grab her, it shifts very, very quickly and fluidly to the side, but in a way that's not normal, not natural, because now you hear a crack come from her hips as she kind of dislocates the hip a little bit and pulls herself to the side. She's bent in kind of an arrow kind of shape, leaned over. The face looks down at you, the inky blackness coming back out. Looking down at you, Ostrin, you can feel this icy cold void surrounding the child, and everybody, even Larathan, hears what comes out. You silly halfling, the mighty company of Solemn wishes to play. If that is your desire, then we can make that dream come true. As the word true languishes out of its mouth, slowly filling the room, you begin to smell a rather sulfuric, deep, earthy smell mixed with that of rotting meat and vegetable matter, very much like the earthy tone in a very old, dark forest. There is a bit of a tremble in the child's body as she falls to the down onto the bed creaking even under her slight weight. You can hear her bones pop and crack, whether that's from going back into place or being ripped further out of place. She slides down, and as she slides down, it reveals at first a child-size, gray, translucent, black robe-looking apparition. You can see at the very edges where there should naturally be hems, there are tattered, frayed, fabric-like wisps that are moving in an unseen, ghostly, eerie kind of a motion. The figure begins to solidify, at least in color, as it begins to darken and grow up. Ostrin, you're standing there looking at this apparition as it rises and grows to roughly about 6 feet in height, double easily the height of the child. Wings of inky blackness kind of unfurl behind it. Now where the blackness was of the void of the eyes, you can see light flickering of a red, not a fire, but a definite glowing, arcane, undead kind of a red that begins to fill the eye socket. Hatred begins to emanate off of this thing as it quickly casts a look down at Mama Gisela and then at Yorla, its eyes coming back. And with a strange lolling of its head, it turns towards the doorway. Uthal Steelborn, Foot Smasher. Shall we? There is a familiarity, just oh so briefly, in his voice, Uthal. Roll me a history, if you would.
I get a total of 20.
Many years ago, you were called on a mission outside the company of Solemn, and it was to deal with a small village in some hills far away from the city called the Rendon Hills. There was a small village also that carried that name, known as Rendon, that had been getting haunted or terrorized by strange, shadowy beings, creatures that seemed to crawl from graves unnaturally. And a calling came to you one night to ride out, to protect these people, to see that they were safe. Adrasel Keldish was a necromancer that you wound up at that time doing battle with. he was raising up these creatures to try to gain control of a moss farming project that was going on. It was driven purely by greed. You drove Adrasel Keldish back to the darkness from whence he came, not killing him, but you definitely got the upper hand. The voice that now speaks to you for a brief second has a tinge that reminds you of Adrasel Keldish. A familiarity kind of hangs over your shoulders, having once possibly fought this individual, but this is definitely not how he was when you last saw him.
Keldish, the years have not been kind to you.
That depends on which side of the veil you sit, Uthal. You couldn't finish the job last time. And look what's happened because of it.
You lost that time, you'll lose this time. Now, let's finish this.
With that, Ostrin, you're standing there. This creature fully unfurls its wings. Everybody can see through it. It's translucent, very much shadowy, except for the glowing hatred of red where the eyes should be deep set in the sockets. You can feel this inky cold just coming off of it. And as it does this, I need Ostrin and Yorla to once again roll me wisdom saves.
Don't forget you get a +3 to that Firehawk. Aura of the Ancients.
Nice.
21.
Wisdom.
Nice. What'd you get, Ostrin? This is just for Ostrin and you.
Well, fortunately, I have a +6 to wisdom, but the natural one didn't.
As you stand there with this room smelling the sausage and the boiling stew and all the pleasant smells prior to this are being replaced by the smell of rotten meat, dark, dank earth, grave kind of earth, and sulfur. This wave emanates off of this creature that's now floating above the bed, the tatters of its robe licking at the pale gray twisted form that's laying unmoving and, from what you can see, unbreathing upon the bed. It emanates out this air, this thick heaviness. Yorla, you're pressed down still, and you feel this roll over the top of you. As it does, it rolls over both Ostrin and Mama Gisela, which I better roll for. Okay. And Mama Gisela begins to gag, as you do as well, Ostrin, as you can feel this thick, vile fluid begin to gather in your throat. You can feel your muscles in your throat begin to gag on it. You begin to choke back in a sickly gurgling sound. An inky blackness beginning to crest the very front edge of your lips, and you feel the need to rapidly exit this hut as your breath is being choked off, and this air that's pushing forward begins to convince you that this is possibly not the right place to be right now. Don't remind him of that.
What am I being reminded of?
Halflings have got a trait called Lucky.
Yep.
Mr. I moderate races.
I think you'll find that VT is the one that does most of the races.
Okay, right. Good to
I'm not the
roll
halfling.
once, but it's cool.
So you are
Oh,
pushed out
I
of the
can
hut.
re-roll. That's fine. I'll be pushed out that.
You're pushed out of the hut. Yorla, let's see. Okay, where are we at? There we're at that. That was okay. Ostrin did their thing. Yorla,
Can I interrupt and shoot an arrow at the translucent thing's face with my ready action?
Sure. Go ahead. Anything
Okay,
anything
the shot-
special about those arrows?
The arrow's not so much, but the bow is a magic bow. So it's a magic attack, but that is otherwise it's a normal shot.
Okay. Go ahead.
Here we go. First attack. That is a 21.
Ooh, nice.
Nice. The arrow rips through the thing. What was there a particular area you were aiming for?
The face.
The face. Your arrow rips through the thing's face. Go ahead and roll me damage. As the
Okay.
arrow passes through its face, you literally see the vaporous, smoky gray, black, translucent substance that this being is created from or derives from fold in on itself and follow the arrow's passage through. As the arrow passes through, you can see the face as it begins to suck back through and reform, contort in a slight bit of pain, maybe showing a possible weakness. What'd you do for damage?
That would be a 1 plus 5, 6.
It quickly, kind of just with a shake, flows off this bit of pain, this annoyance. Its eyes remaining focused on Uthal Steelborn. Yorla, the need to bow and grovel at this thing's feet subsides as its attention is torn away. You hear, however, next to you, this gagging, gurgling sound.
So I'm going to stand,
Okay.
and I'd like to just drag her out. I'm not gonna worry with trying to pick her up. I'm gonna drag her out.
All right, you reach down, literally grab on to the smock dress that she's wearing, lock your hands. Go ahead and roll me a strength. And again, ladies and gentlemen, if you want to give bonuses to the players or the game master, you can find that information down below.
That's a natural 20, but I have a -1, so
That negatives and pluses don't matter when it's a natural 20. So as you reach down and with surprising strength, you almost surprise yourself a little bit, as when you reach down to grab and drag her out, you grab enough of her smock dress. You hear a little bit of like that seam rippage, like if you ever pull on a heavy shirt or something like that and the threads begin to kind of rip. You hear that, but you actually lift her frail small frame through the air and you carry her as you would just so much of a handbag or a sack, and you exit quickly. The creature still sitting there floating doesn't do anything to you, doesn't even seem to pay attention as you slip your way outside with the old woman. Are you going to set her down?
Yeah, I'm gonna take her out and put her next to Fort Smasher's horse.
Okay. As you put her down, you notice that she's no longer coughing and gagging. Uthal.
So we're a bit limited for space for engaging in a combat inside this little hut, right?
Yeah.
And this thing's what, about 6 foot tall?
Roughly about 6 foot tall. The hut is maybe 10 to 12 feet across and squared, so it's 12, probably about a 12 by 12 little hut.
And probably what, about 7 foot high inside?
Yeah.
Okay,
If that,
so we can
if
get
that.
inside to crouch, maybe.
Yeah.
Okay, fine. She'll cast Shield of Faith, step forwards, and shout, "Enfoath!" as drawing a sword, which bursts into flame, and then lunged it.
All right. Go ahead and roll your attack, good sir.
Okay, I'm assuming I can get a clear shot without hitting the child that's
Oh, yeah,
fallen
yeah.
where she's- yeah, okay. All right, so I have 2 attacks. So let's hold on. Boom, boom, boom. That is a 20 and a 19.
Yes, indeed.
Okay. And I will throw a smite into the first one. Which does. It's up. Right, okay. Sorry about all the numbers, slowing things down. 37 damage on the first blow.
Jesus.
That's,
Wow.
it's a hit from the flaming sword plus the flame plus the smite. I rolled reasonably well.
A little higher than my damage.
The second hit does 14. Not such a good roll.
As you bring your flaming sword to bear, you when it cuts and crosses through the gray apparition, its face horrifyingly kind of distends and grows, twists in anger, and you hear this hissing sound just coming out of its mouth, almost in a strange recognition of what's happening. Everybody go ahead, that's looking in the room really quick, go ahead and roll me an insight and remember those rolls, please. Because as the sword passes through, you hear this kind of faint, distant hissing sound as if passing the sword through a moist vapor, as it just crackles and hisses as it comes through. And when it reforms, you can see the area where the first pass came through the sword. The gray material isn't quite connected the way it was before. There's gaps in it, so it looks like strands holding the two parts of it together. And as you bring the second sword stroke through, its hand that was kind of sitting off to the side gets sliced by your sword, and again you hear that cracking or sizzling sound. The head, twisted in pain, turns and looks down at you. Uthal, this is going to get very real. As its hand begins to shrivel, it falls down onto the tattered woolen covers where the child now rests. It's maybe 2 or 3 inches from it. The pain is still laced across its face. Starting with Larathan, what was your role?
I did not roll. I'm going to be watching the guy for any reactions.
Okay. Ostrin.
15.
Yorla.
I'm outside paying attention to Mama Gisela.
Uthal. Can't hear you.
Sorry, I got a total of 16.
16. And Kaldor.
13.
So Uthal and Ostrin and Yorla. I know Yorla's outside. So yeah, Uthal and Ostrin, you both, when these words leak out of its twisted visage, you both get the distinct impression that this thing isn't long for this world or this particular space or encounter, not because of damage and impending destruction, but more out of choice. As we come back to Larathan, you're standing, looking, observing this figure, and you can hear behind you what's transpiring as it rolls out of this small hut. This figure remains standing, its back to the corner of the building. It doesn't appear to be paying you any particular attention or anything like that. It's kind of looking off directly in front of it. But as this last little bit comes out of the hut, you see its head kind of cock ever so slightly, as if now paying attention to what's happening in your general area. You're going to continue to stand and watch, or?
I think I'm finally going to do a little bit of action.
Okay.
So I'm going to duck into the little house, weave through my companions, grab the little girl, and make my way back out. I'll use my bonus action for move.
Okay. With surprising, well, maybe not so surprising speed and grace, you everybody except for Yorla are very familiar with Larathan Talamari and his abilities, his skill set, and what he brings to the table in most encounters. And with not common speed and certainly uncommon grace, not something you would see from just anybody, Larathan Talamari enters into the small hut and as nothing more than a blur as he moves through. The shadows themselves hanging to the walls seem to add a little bit of propulsion and a little bit of guidance. He sweeps in, picks up the young child, pulling her from the bed, and turns and spins and exits just as quickly as he entered. Uthal, do me a favor and roll a perception check.
Total of 20.
Good. You notice as Larathan comes in and picks up the girl, that little bit that I said that fell off of this thing's hand as it came and landed on the tattered woolen covers that were providing a little bit of warmth to her. You notice that gray little bit kind of begins, or it does take the shape just briefly of a flower. It's a 5-petaled flower with a strange serrated edge to it. And as Larathan comes in, you see that flower just from the breeze or the little bit of a swirl of air as Larathan dashes in, grabs the girl, and comes out. It's enough to disturb this, and it falls to ash. It doesn't disappear, but it fully falls and crumbles slowly. At first, little bits of it falling away, and then it gradually crumbles into this small little pile of dust or dirt. But you definitely remember the 5 petals, the serrated edge, and as it crumbles, there is a light grayish blue tinge, almost as if while it's crumbling, it shows itself in nature. So as it crumbles away, the next part to crumble quickly turns like it would be a real flower's petal, and then it ashes and crumbles, and it falls apart. The shadowy figure, with a bit of a hiss, Adrasel Keldish, his eyes flash with anger. His eyes look down on you, Uthal. This is far from over, Holy One. And the figure pulls back into nothingness. It's almost as if it's being sucked back into a tube as it folds in on itself like a drapery being sucked into a pipe, pulls back in and disappears into nothingness. All that's left in the hut in front of you, Uthal, is the smell, a mixture of that sulfur and rotting meat and earth, which is quickly subsiding and disappearing as well, and being replaced once again by the bubbling pots of stew, the baked goods, the pies that are in their ceramic tins or their ceramics, the sausage hanging from the ceiling along with the herbs and other cured meats, and that little pile of ash or dust on the bed.
Huh. I guess he didn't want to fight, did he? Okay, I'll put the sword away.
Checking on the little girl. How is she?
The little girl, as you're holding her in your arms, you can feel this odd kind of chilled clamminess to her flesh, and you can feel how her muscles and her skin are providing no boundary really between you and her bones, as you can literally feel all the bones inside of her. And she's laying there very, very faintly breathing, the inky blackness still rimming her lips. There's a little bit of a gray, not the rivulets of fingers, but a gray to her eyes. Her skin is pallid and ashen. It feels like you're holding a bundle of sticks in your arms. She's unconscious and very, very faintly breathing, beads of sweat on her brow. She is definitely still very sick.
I'd like to check Mama Gisela, see how she is.
As you reach down, you're going to kind of roll her over. She's kind of face down in the dirt.
Of course.
You roll over Mama Gisela, and when you roll her over, there's a distant look on her glossed eyes. She's staring out as you roll, and her head kind of lolls and falls backwards. Her eyes staring off into emptiness, not aware of anything that you could see whatsoever. Her skin has begun to lessen in color. What was there is now gone. Her skin kind of has gone a little bit loose and begins to hang more than set upon her bones. Her chest is not rising nor falling, and no apparent breath coming out of her as she just stares off to the sky. Somewhere in the distance, out over the great sea of thorns, you hear a low rumbling crack sound as you can see standing there the formation of the storm continuing to grow. It's still a thin black line on the horizon where the edge of the sea disappears over the horizon. Mama Gisela appears to be, for all intents and purposes, no longer amongst the living.
I'm gonna yell, Osterin, quick! Needs help here.
And we will take our break at this point.
Giveaway.
Thank you all for hanging out. Give us just a few moments, maybe 5 minutes, and we will be right back. Thank you for hanging out here at Forge at the Table, and we'll see you in just a few minutes. And we will do a giveaway when we come back.
Yay!
Yay! back at it. So this is how we are going to do this, folks. Thank you for coming and hanging out with us. I hope everybody had a chance to enter the wonderful word Easy Roller into the chat. If you have not entered Easy Roller into the chat, please do so. I have a box of amazing product here from the Easy Roller Dice Company. Please go ahead and go give them a visit. The link is up there on the screen. These guys have stepped forward, sent us a bunch of really cool stuff. You are going to get a chance to win a dice cup, leatherette dice cup with a velvet interior, one gunmetal D6, and a full set of dice with a dice bag. It's right here in this plastic thing. They sent me a box of like 50 of these things, or 25 or 30. So what we're going to do is, here in 1 minute, I am going to go ahead and have Nightbot roll for me, and we're going to find out who wins that. You have to be 13 or older and in the U.S. Sorry, but international shipping is a butthead. And then I will reach into this, and I will pull out which one it is that you won. So it's random colors and everything. So I got to get this one back in there. Hope everybody's enjoying their afternoon. Thank you so much for yeah, I was I'd like to thank everybody for coming and hanging out with us this afternoon. This is one of 2 shows going on today. Later on tonight at 9 p.m. Eastern time, we are going on to episode 9 of The Long Road, and we get to see what transpires with the love story between the gnome and the halfling. Should be a lot of fun. Oh, there is so many of these in this box. Holy cow. So yeah, we're gonna have fun. We're also talking to some other companies about getting some other stuff in. So I've got more stuff coming. Imagine that. So let's go ahead. Let's go ahead and see who wins. Good luck to everybody. Boink. Jack Walk. Jack Walk. You just won yourself a set of dice, a dice bag, a Easy Roller cup, and some dice to go with it. Jack Walk, are you out there? You have to be here. Jack Walk. Jack Walk. There we go. All right. Jack Walk, I'm going to reach in here and pull out one of these for you. Would you like me to tell you which ones you got, or would you like it to be a surprise? All right. So we're going to go ahead and find out what he got. All right. So Jack Walk, go ahead on Discord, get a hold of me, send me your shipping address. I think you have it already. I have it already, but please go ahead and do likewise again. Hey, wow, I've already seen this set. So you're going to get yourself one of these really cool leatherette Easy Roller Dice Company rolling cups. These are really kind of cool, especially if you play a lot of Yahtzee. I actually have one of these that I use when I game every once in a while, but it's Cthulhu. You're going to get yourself the dice bag and the orange and gray swirl dice, which aren't going to really come up on camera. But in person, oh, surprise me. There you go. Well, fine. I'll put these back and pull a different one out for you. Thank you, Twitch, for the delay. Silent Sentry hosting us with 36 viewers. Thank you, Silent Sentry. Super appreciate the host. Holy cow. So, all right, I will reach in and pull one of these out off stream for you, Jack Walk. That way I do not ruin the surprise for you. Send me a message on our Discord, my friend, and we will get you some of these awesome dice sent out to you. So let me see. We need another. Oh, yeah, let's just do it this way. So the next word that's going out for everybody is going to be what follows here. Please only enter this one time, and this is for the second one, and we'll be drawing this one at the end of the stream here in about an hour. Enter this word just one time, please. There you go. Enter that once for a chance to win a set of dice. You have to be 13 or older, and please be in the United States, because international shipping kills. Thank you for that host again there, Silent Sentry. Super appreciate it. So once we last left off, Yorla had reached down and snatched the life from Mama Gisela. Larathan has managed to save the child, or apparently save the child. She remains sick, like a bag of so many sticks in his arms. Her pallid, cold, kind of clammy skin, the moisture forcing her loose, light, tattered nightshirt, her nightgown, to stick to her body. A very faint and light breathing is there. She is still alive, but still in the grips of whatever sickness was there prior. Mama Gisela, however, does not to appear to have fared as well, as her eyes stare up into the crystalline blue skies somewhere out over the bay. Emptiness, non-aware, no breath falling out of her. Yorla had just called out for Ostrin to come over and see if there was anything that he could do. Ostrin, the camera is on you.
Wonderful, because what the camera is not seeing is how, just like international shipping and Yorla, I killed my coffee and spilt it everywhere. I'm going to run over to Yorla. It's very annoying because it's 3:30 in the morning and I just want coffee. I'm going to run over to Yorla and Mama Gisela, and I would like to check for signs of life and see if there's anything I can do to bring her back to bring her back around.
As you kind of get over there and you begin to look over her body, go ahead and roll me a medicine.
To make up for the one, I've gone back to a nat 20. I'm extreme today. That's it.
Nice. Nat 20. As you look over Mama Gisela, the apparent life that might be there, there's like you pick up on the fact of strands kind of hanging off of her, kind of rolling off into the ground that surrounds her body. There is life there, but it is very, very faint. To the untrained eye, they wouldn't see the very superficial rise and fall of breath because her chest is unmoving, but you can pick up that there is a bit of breathing going on. Her eyes, while distant, are not clouding over. There's still a bit of recognition deep within them. You definitely get the impression that if you were to work quick, you may be able to save her life. However, you also do notice that around her neck, there seems to be a graying kind of effect to her skin. It stands out. She's a naturally darker skinned, leathery, kind of aged woman. So this is very, very much lightening of that skin. And you notice just on the inside of her bottom lip, there is tendrils of an inky blackness beginning to form, very similar to what was on Minda the child.
Okay, I would like to cast Cure. Cure Wound's going to be that. Actually, you know what? Let's expand the 4th level spell slot. I'm going to cast Death Ward on Mama Gisela.
We're getting serious up in here.
Yeah, let's give myself a little bit more time to work some magic here.
Alrighty, you cast off your Death Ward. Let me just double check really quick, because I do not have everything memorized. All right, you reach down and touch Mama Gisela. A light chant, Yorla, you can hear kind of under his breath chants out from Ostrin's lips, and you can see his hand, more mainly his finger, just begin to trace out some kind of a strange sigil in the air. You see that sigil kind of slowly break away from his finger and fall gently, almost like a feather or a very light leaf or petal falling through the air. It falls down and comes to rest on her brow. It kind of sinks into her skin, and it kind of, for a brief moment, shimmers like a mist or a fog with light passing through it as it kind of sinks into her skin. You can feel around her frail, old, and definitely apparent broken frame this energy, this divine kind of feeling fill the area and almost wrap her body in an unseen divine cocoon. You can, both you and Ostrin and maybe even Uthal could probably feel the ground around her as things unseen are trying to make their way on to Mama Gisella's body to maybe claim it. You can feel these entities that you can't see. You can sense a frustration unseen in the air as things are trying to get at her. This ward that you just saw Ostrin trace and place down upon Mama Gisella's body, forming an almost like crystalline cocoon that's forcing these things to stay at bay. They begin unseen. You can feel the energy. There's this odd, and it begins to seep around. You all eventually are able to feel this odd kind of a coldness. It's similar to when the wraith or the ghost or the spirit was standing and you were fighting in the room. It's similar to that, but a lot less malefic, a lot less profane, but it's there. You can feel it on the ground. You can feel it at times maybe weaving in and out of your feet, all of it kind of coming towards Mama Gisela. Ostrin, as you stand and you finish this off and you place the ward down on to Mama Gisela, you see the tattoo or the inky blackness that was upon her chest, and you realize that it's still moving ever so slightly on her old leathery skin. You see coming out from underneath the cuff of her smock dress more of these inky tendrils and lines, and you realize that they're nothing necessarily demonic or malefic, and they're definitely not caused by the creature that was in there. And you kind of, maybe with a sharp inhale of breath, realize that Mama Gisela is Dreve, and she's of the gypsy folk, and these tattoos are part of her heritage and not a connection to what was in the room. Go ahead, and since you're standing there, go ahead and roll me an Arcana check, though. 12. You sense, just like on the one on the chest, you can see as it rises up. Now that you see it and it's kind of shifting, you realize that it makes out the pattern of like a tree, like an old tree at fall time. And the shifting you're seeing is this tree's branches as if they're being blown side to side by a gentle fall breeze. You see in those leaves smaller, more intricately designed tattoos, each one of them in the shape of a leaf. And you try to focus on them, but maybe it's not your calling, maybe it's not your specialty, but you think that there's more there, as the very edge of this tattoo has a very faint green line around it, that of the finest of threads. But there's definitely something unusual about the tattoo.
Mama Gisela is still alive at this point?
At this point, yes.
Okay.
She's clinging on. But you can sense that there's beings that are trying to get to her.
Okay. I would like to call over Uthal to see if between the two of us we can at least try and cleanse her body enough to try and ward off anything else. Uthal, get over here now.
Fine. There's dust in the corner we should deal with, but you're right. This is more important. Let me see if I can. And Uthal reaches into his bag and pulls out a small flask of water. It almost seems to sparkle as he produces it. It's holy water. And uncorks it, and sprinkles some into the air above her. As he does, it turns into almost a silvery mist and settles onto her body, casting protection from good and evil,
All right.
which might help if she's possessed or if there's any kind of thing within her that's causing her problems.
When Uthal does this, and you see the shimmering, almost like blankets of mist float down and fall and drape over her, like the finest of silks that you've ever seen in the higher end districts. The company of Solemn at one time had great wealth. The company wasn't one of those companies that would hide the fact of its wealth. It wore its wealth with pride as a marker of how good it was. The company of Solemn was a mercenary company, like many of the companies that are out there, that went to the highest bidder, and that wealth was was a testament to the skills and the bravery and the success of the company itself, and would bring in more and more people wishing to procure them and their skills. And as such, you have all, maybe except for Yorla, have seen the finest fabrics, the finest of silks. And there's a land far to the south that you've all heard about in myth and song and legend called Aria. It's often referred to in song as the land of the shifting sands. There's a silk that comes from there that is so fine that it's been touted as being able to stop an arrow, yet you can see almost completely through it unobstructed. And this lays across Mama Gisella's body just as that silk would, as if it was blown by a very light breeze. When this happens, you see two creatures made of shadow with a wispy type smoke coming off of their body. And for a brief second, a heavy puff of sulfur enters the air that everybody that's standing around can see it. It's that heavy rotten egg smell that is attributed to sulfur, and very, very intense as these two kind of short-legged, almost salamander-looking creatures hiss as they pull away, shriveling back away from the body of Mama Gisela. You can see these long, inky, smoky tongues that were just reaching out to try and lick her. And as this drapery falls over her form and the tongue comes out and licks it, you see a radiant, silvery smoke rise and mix with the black smoke as they pull their tongues back and draw back. They one of them actually passes through your ankle area, Yorla, as it draws back, and you feel not a coldness and not a warmth. You feel an emptiness that pulls your vision down to look, because it feels like for a brief second your leg and your foot are no longer attached. Like there's nothing there. It's just an emptiness. And you almost, your mind kind of plays tricks, almost like in that point where you're half asleep, half awake, and you feel like you're gonna fall off the bed, and you wake up and you snap a start and you're actually hugging the wall nowhere near the edge. That kind of thing. And you almost feel like you're gonna tip. So you look down as this creature passes through you. And you see, literally, as it passes through, there's a split second where your leg and your foot aren't attached. And then it comes together and you feel stable again. These creatures kind of roll up on themselves and suck back into nothingness, very similar to what the creature did that was inside of the room. This has once again provided another layer of protection over Mama Gisela. As you can sense that there are things now gathering at the edges of your vision of reality, just outside of what you can see, the realm you can see. You can feel, all of you begin to feel this kind of heaviness kind of begin to gather around and pay attention to what's transpiring now in this alley. Larathin, go ahead and roll me a perception check, if you would. Just you.
13.
you kind of holding the girl, you kind of your vision kind of darts back down that pathway again, and you don't see that figure standing there anymore. It's shifted off and is no longer in the area, but you do see down that street just briefly an outline of what appears to be a carriage. You see it's kind of come into being almost as if it's parting the fabric of reality and pulling back a drape. You see the front end of this black, heavy, gilded carriage just for a brief moment as your eyes kind of shift out of focus. Kind of like when you look, you see something, and then you kind of like, oh, okay. It kind of is there and then is gone. Everybody begins to feel more and more of this heaviness begin to gather around Mama Gisela.
How's the girl doing?
The girl is still very much sick, hanging on to life, but barely by a thread. If anything, she's just from your untrained, I guess, opinion, maybe, unless you want to roll like a medicine or something like that. But just looking at her, she doesn't seem like she's long for this world. But if you want to roll a medicine, you can take a deeper look at her.
I'll do it.
I don't want to railroad you.
7.
7. I don't have to railroad you. No, they're nothing. It very much feels like she's hanging on by a thread, and in your opinion, not long for this world. You've seen similar things like this of soldiers on a battlefield and that sort of thing, where death has come knocking and you can feel the life slipping from them. And as you're holding her, that clamminess that's causing her light garment to hold to her body, you kind of almost get this sensation of sand slipping through your fingers in a way as it looks like to you her life is sliding away.
In that case, I'm going to go ahead and hand her to Yorla.
I'll take her.
Okay. So Ostrin and Uthal, you're standing over the limp, distant vision of Mama Gisela's eyes. She's there, but barely. And I will go ahead and let you roll one of you. I'll let one of you roll an Arcana check, and if the other wishes to assist, then we can work something out.
I'm happy to assist unless you want to.
You should probably be the one that rolls it. There we go. I'll assist you.
All right, so roll that with advantage, please.
You're a really bad assister. Just gonna point that out.
Wow. Yeah, you again, that tree tattoo, there's something there, but it's not like a name on the tip of your tongue. It's so far into the shadows and recesses of your mind that you cannot put a finger on it, but there's something there. You all definitely have been around long enough to not need to roll to know this next bit of information. You have seen battle. You have fought the big baddies and the beasties before, and you all get the feeling that in the air around here, there's more than what meets the eye, that there's more going on than this apparition, a sick girl, Mama Gisela. Things aren't necessarily what they appear to maybe be, that there's questions and answers that you can't quite put your finger on, and you begin to feel this darkness, this heaviness begin to kind of press in on your small band as you're standing here in the shadows. Everybody roll me a perception check, please, except for Larathan, because you're aware of it already. Starting with Yorla.
Natural 1.
That's good. That's exactly what you want. Ostrin.
Since, again, I realized that I know how to read a sheet, before when I was shitty at perception, I actually had a +3. 22.
All right. Uthal.
11.
11. And Kaldor.
That'll be an 18.
So, Ostrin, Kaldor, and Larathan, you all hear the creaking and the heaving of something upon wheels, heavy, coming from a couple different directions as it seems to strangely kind of echo out. Larathan, you can pinpoint where it was at because you already had seen it before. But to all of you, you hear this kind of creaking as if something is rolling, like a wagon or a heavy carriage or something like that. You hear this ghostly, distant, hollow crack of a heavy whip and the whinnying or the whining and neighing of very... They're horses, but there's a definite malefic or profane undertone to the whinnying of these horses that lead you to believe, and you might even cast a glance about. You don't see anything, but you definitely hear it, and it's hollow and echoey, but there's something definitely not of this world and not pleasant about it. Something that's definitely profane on the underside as it hangs in the air. This darkness presses in from all sides of your small band. You notice also strangely that nobody appears to be coming out to pay any sort of attention to what's going on. That could be because people here in the Rambles are familiar and wise to when things are going on in the street, just leave it be. Or it could be something else, something more sinister.
We need to go now.
Agreed. We should get these two to somewhere safe rather than here. Can you handle the chest of gold?
Yeah, toss it in my bag.
Uthal's going to, as he extracts himself from this hut, just place one hand with a just a touch of the two middle fingers on the on Mama Gisella's chest. There's just like a small pulse of orangey white light that dissipates off across the chest. 3 hit points of lay on hands in case it helps.
Okay.
And head outside to where Yorla is with the girl.
Yeah.
Okay. We're going to need to get her back, and she's going to need similar treatment to the old lady. This will take me just a few moments.
We don't have a few moments.
What's
Okay.
coming?
People approaching, something approaching. Maybe not people.
Then take the next 20 seconds to figure us out a route whilst I deal with this, okay?
For shite's sake.
And we'll again sprinkle some holy water in the air above the girl. The silvery mist coalesces, lands above her, and 3 points of lay on hands into her as well.
Okay.
Now we move. Where do we go?
Yorla, before the company begins to move out, you feel an intense warmth growing on your body. You begin to hear, just in your vicinity, just for your ears, a light buzzing sound that begins to creep out of wherever it was you stuck that little crystalline gem-like fly. That warmth begins to sizzle and crackle. Your clothing begins to ignite as it quickly begins to emit an intense heat. Before you can react, you take 3 points of searing damage. Now you can react.
I quickly reach down the front of my shirt, pull it out from between my breasts, and throw it to the ground. And then start patting myself to put the flames out.
Yeah, you all hear this buzzing sound, and you might cast a look back. If you do, this is what you see. If you don't, well, you don't see it. But you see Yorla's clothing kind of bursting into flames, and she's kind of patting on her chest. And she throws this now glowing crystalline orange. It itself is not on fire per se, but it is glowing. Are any of you casting a look towards Yorla to see what the hell she is doing?
Oh, hell yeah,
Yep.
I am.
Okay, as you cast a look back to Yorla to see what she is doing, you all see another fly similar to that one, but this one alive, crawl over her left shoulder and come to a rest on her shoulder, and that area begins to smolder and smoke. Another one buzzing. These are fat orange kind of glowing flies. They appear to be just on the verge of igniting themselves as they kind of begin to hover and fly. This third one begins to go around Yorla's head, and as it traces its first circle, the heat emanating off of it, Yorla, makes you kind of duck down, but part of your hair does ignite. Go ahead and roll me a dexterity save to see if you can manage to pat out your hair.
The hell, Yorla?
Uthal did this.
Look over to Uthal.
Rolled a 19.
A 19. Yeah, you quickly get your hand out there. You pat out your hair. There's a little bit of damage, but not a lot. But you all begin to notice third, fourth, and a fifth fly beginning to kind of congregate in the area, and congregate, strangely enough, over Yorla, or around and near Yorla. The one that's on the ground begins to move, pops in the air, and begins to vibrate, hiss, sputter, and buzz. It remains crystalline, but it is flying like the rest.
Okay, I rolled an intelligence save just to see if I would know that perhaps the fly that I had as a gemstone might be about the same thing. So I pat myself down, see if I still have it.
No, you don't. Actually, you don't have it. You don't find it where you put it. You thought you had hidden it on your body quite well, but it seems that you haven't.
Yorla, did you take the fly back? Drop it now.
It is right there. It lit me on fire. It's a bad thing.
Is it the same one, or was that?
Yes. Yes, I took it from you.
I would love to know how that's my fault, and I'm sure you'll explain once you find out how to do so. But let's get these two out of here. Can you stop bursting into flame for a short
I
while?
can't control this.
Let's go now.
So who all has proficiency in religion?
Not me.
Nope.
Nope.
So Ostrin, go ahead and roll religion.
22.
You begin to piece things together, and it seems that what's one of the things that might be transpiring here is that several entities that either are or represent various gods of death and decay and that sort of thing are beginning to slide into this area. While somebody dying might attract attention, whatever it is here that's attracting this attention is drawing it from several different sources. And yeah, the air, particularly to you as you realize this, begins to become very tainted, and you begin to have a harder time breathing because of the pressure weighing in on you.
All right, then. Ostrin's going to turn back to everyone. Start moving now. We need to get away. I'd like to the other crystalline flies that appeared. Are they around Yorla? Can Yorla get away without touching them?
Yeah, she can get away without touching them. The strange thing is those flies are not crystalline. The only one that's crystalline was the original one. The other ones are actual, look to be living, almost flaming flies.
If
As I move, do they seem to follow me?
They seem to pay attention to you, but not necessarily follow outright.
Was it the crystalline one that she tossed, or?
Yeah, that was the one she tossed to the ground, and it's now kind of up and hovering just about at eye level to Yorla. Thank you, Wolfgang Bauer and Kobold Press, by the way.
Oh, wow.
Thanks, Kobold Press. Is Yola moving away from the flies?
I'm attempting to, yes.
Because if Yola is moving away from the flies, Ostrin is going to try and impose himself in front of Yola and using the Wrath of the Storms, cast Gust of Wind to push them back.
Okay. You manage to interject yourself in between and you bring about this at first it's kind of an impressive thing to see as Ostrin summons. It's almost as if he's summoning the black line of storms that's out over the horizon to ocean as he forms a small ball that begins to look like a thunderstorm between his small halfling-like fingers and hands, and with a kind of a rumbling deep voice snaps his hands forward. You literally, you've seen other people maybe cast something similar to this, but whether it's Ostrin's connection to his particular deity or what it is, there literally is a roiling thundercloud that is crackling all around it with lightning in his hands, in between his hands, as he snaps them forward. This great gusting storm-like wind rolls out. It picks up debris and leaves and everything off of the ground and slams forward to where Yorla had been standing and disperses and sends the flies screaming out away from her.
Everyone start moving now as I continue to concentrate on that.
So, Uthel's going to carefully pick up Mama Gisela and turn to probably Keldor and say, "Can you manage the girl?"
I could, or I could keep an eye out.
I currently have the girl.
Okay. DM, quick question.
Yeah.
Can we quickly say I've got inside and got my arrow back while this has been going on?
Yeah, sure.
I don't have any.
Yeah, sure.
Second question is, how dark is it roughly?
It is not very. Okay. It's light outside.
As we prepare to move, I don't know how many moves. Okay.
As Keldor heads inside, Keldor, there was the arm of the creature fell to the ground at the bed. There was some dust there. Can you just check it while you're in there? While I
It seems safe. Yep.
get the old lady onto my horse.
Yep. I'll go and investigate that as well. I'll crouch down and have a look.
This is taking too long. Let's go.
A very quick glance.
All right, you glance. It's still there. The ash or dust is still on that one particular part. You grab your arrow. Are you going to do anything to the ash or whatever it is that's there on the bed, or pull out a straw, take care of it, whatever?
I think I'll play it safe, and I will just head out of there.
Okay.
And yeah, I'll look around. Are there like sort of buildings all around us, or are they just small huts like the?
They're small. Predominantly, they're small huts and all of that.
Okay, I'll just try and cling in the shadows, and I'll sort of follow the group from the side if we begin to move, and keep an eye out.
Okay. So, what is your guys' destination going to be? You going to head back to the Longhouse, or?
Yeah, back to the Longhouse.
With the 2 extras?
We got to keep them safe, at least for now.
We do until we can find someone to look after them because we're leaving.
Yeah, we'll just drop them off at, the Lord's house.
That's going to go down so well.
We'll just send our butler. He's nice. He'll help.
Ostrin, this needs priests to keep this kind of evil off them.
Correct.
Do you
it
have
does.
some connections here that you can pull on to get that arranged?
That's a very good question. I look at the sky, to the face of this wonderful DM that's peering down.
You all remember that one of the items that you left back in there's kind of a planning room, very much like where you would plan battles and that sort of thing, with scrolls and maps and all sorts of things strewn throughout it. There are books in there, and one of these books does contain useful contacts that have been used throughout the years, decades, and centuries by the company of Solemn, and that is in the upper stores of the remaining building that you kind of no longer own, but I guess you have some claim to it yet. You're not out of the port yet. So yeah.
Okay, I guess we'll head back there then.
Yeah. Our things are still there. We can still stay in it one more night at least.
Well,
Yeah.
we need to at least we need to pack.
Like I said,
Go ahead. Are you going to kind of try to not draw too much attention? I mean, you're carrying an old woman and a child that for the most part look dead through the city streets. And while the company of Solemn is still known, it's might set off kind of a bit of an odd murmur.
I don't think it really matters all that much traveling through the streets with an old woman and a child, but
All right.
I'm gonna take my cloak off and wrap it around the girl.
Okay.
Keldor is full stealthing.
Go ahead and roll stealth there, Keldor.
Oh no. That would be a 20.
That'd be 20. All right. It takes you all maybe a half hour, 40 minutes to make your way through the ramble, through the other quarters, and eventually arrive at the front door to the Longhouse, the main building of what was once the grand estate of Fort Revel, the home of the legendary company of Solemn. The front door sits slightly ajar, maybe an inch or two.
I'll go ahead and enter.
As you swing open the front door, it glides and then kind of catches and creaks on the unoiled hinges. As you go to enter in, Larathan, you come almost to an abrupt stop as a body, maybe 7.5 feet in length, lays in the middle of the hallway. You can see a dark pool of liquid gathered around the shoulders and head. You see laying before you, his dark gray hair tousled, the large form of your once living butler, Artress.
No.
I can pretty much tell you who did this.
What's happened?
It's the price we pay for not going with the correct group of people.
The bad man?
We can't just leave this unavenged.
Behind Artress, you see the stack of bags and a few boxes that he was getting ready to take with him to the vineyard, the small farm that he had talked about saving up for. As you look over the area, Larathan, you see, strangely and oddly, sitting upon that stack of boxes and bags and stuff, that are exactly as you last saw them, except for a leather scroll casing that is now sitting there. It's faced, laying perfectly in line for you to see it, and you see the symbol, the dragon's head with the jagged lightning behind it, the company of Solemn's symbol. It's shined, it's clean. The leather looks exceedingly new, as if it has been recently purchased. You can see slightly sticking out from one end some very light colored, crisp looking parchment. This catches you as odd because it sits upon old tattered leather bags, a carpetbagger's two-handled bag sitting next to it, and some old boxes wrapped with some cording to more or less secure the contents inside from coming out. The scroll looks a bit odd again because hanging from one of the tasseled pieces of leather, attached and tied off with a red glass bauble, is a silver ring that you immediately recognize as being a signet ring of the company of Solemn that once sat astride Artress's ring finger. odd situation indeed. What are you going to do?
Let's see what the scroll says.
So, are you all going to enter into the hallway?
I am.
We obviously all know that Artress's body is now there, correct?
Yeah. Yes.
I'm going to look around outside, just kind of standing near the doorway to see if there's anyone still around here.
I'd like to do the same.
Okay.
I'm
both of you-
actually
Okay.
I'm actually going to take the little girl to my room, put her in my bed, and make sure she's covered and warm, and say, "You are safe now, I promise."
Yeah,
Uthal?
with the dead body.
While they're looking, Uther will take the old lady and
So, from Ostrin and Kaldor, please roll me perception checks and remember those rolls. Larathin, you make your way over to the scroll case. You undo it, the ring slipping off into your hand, the piece of parchment. This has been recently prepared. The ink probably dry maybe the past 12 hours. And on the scroll is written, "My lords and new lady, this is of no surprise to me, yet I am sure it is to you. Please," and the letter goes on, "please take my belongings and what is left of my remains to the temple of Eleth, she who watches, and turn them over to brother Asagius. He is a good friend and brother of Mithelglin, or Mithelgin, and knows what to do. My brother Grillmesh will be aware of what has transpired and will be sending some to retrieve me and return me home. The deed to the small farm remains in my room. Please see that it arrives in a deserving hand. Thanks unto you, my friends. Signed, Artress."
And do I know that's his writing?
Yes, it is. It is indeed.
Like 100%.
100%. It would appear that Artress was familiar with what his fate was.
Well, this is his end. His chosen end.
odd.
Ostrin, starting with you, what'd you get?
17.
Kaldor.
9.
Ostrin, you get this kind of weird tingling sensation that there's a tension unseen, but you can definitely feel it in the air. You can't quite put your finger on to exactly what it is, but you do hear this odd buzzing sound in the air. But somewhere just underneath that, you hear a click sound, as if something being cocked back or readied.
At that point, I would like to call out to Kaldor and be like, Kaldor,
Yeah.
be wary. And I'm going to click my heels together and say, there's no place like, oh wait, no, wrong show. Activate my boots of levitation, and I'd like to rise up in the air 20 feet so I can get a better look at see where the hell this buzzing and clicking sound is coming from.
As you rise up into the air, you hear gasps from some of the people that are walking along the roadway or the streets as they kind of step back, their eyes growing wide. But as you rise up high enough to look out over some of the buildings that are shorter than what you are rising up to, and you see almost horrifically, what appear to be 5, 6, and then 7 shadowed figures moving across the rooftops, all of them coming from around buildings that surround the remnants of Fort Revel and the Long Hall, all seeming like they're going to convene upon this building itself. And then flying in through the front door, you see that crystalline, bumbling little fly. It isn't glowing like it once was, but it does buzz in to the hallway. Off in the distance, kind of directly in front of you, kind of over by where the rambling's coming from that direction, you see one more figure kind of resting upon a pole that's rising out of a single-story building. You see heavy cloaks draped around this figure. You can make out that they probably have a bow and they are armed. A finger comes up to the tip of its the hood, and it bows towards you. As it bows towards you, you can see that it's wearing a rather fat ring that you can't quite make out at this distance. And you notice all of these figures kind of roil into the shadows and begin one by one vanishing from your sight. Off in the distance, you can see the roiling clouds as the last remnants of daylight begin to fade away. Lanterns throughout the city, throughout the port, begin to pop and send off orangish red glows into the night. You're hovering above the street. You hear a very faint and light. Go ahead there, Caldor.
I'm just going on. I say to Ostrin, do you see anything?
Yes, many shadows coming
Can I see
now.
Can I see them at any point now if I look up?
No, they're actually all out still around up on the building, so you're on the ground.
Right.
The reason why you can see me is you got the higher vantage point. And this is all happening. Like, you're taking this all in at once. You hear a very, like, feathering twang, a snap almost. And you see this bolt flying through the now failing daylight, screaming directly towards you as you hover in the air. And we will leave off this week's session with that.
Oh, no way.
A 20. You see this bolt snapping, screaming through the air as it's coming directly towards your face, Ostrin. I would love to continue, but I have some things to take care of before tonight. I would have much rather keep doing this, but I do have some things I got to take care of. So I need to wrap this one early. I would like to thank everybody that came and hung out with this. I'd like to thank these 5 wonderful people for allowing me to run this game for them. We will pick this up again down the road. I believe it's going to be about a month, though, before schedules line up and we can get back together. So for the next 30 days or so, Source, our Singapore friend, gets to think about that bolt that's coming straight for him. At this moment in time, I would like to do, we got to do a drawing it. I got a couple of announcements, so if you guys would hang out for just a second here. Thank you for coming and hanging out with us today. This has been a third episode of a Walk Beyond, where I am running a campaign for these 5 wonderful moderators from over at D&D Beyond. Thank you for coming and visiting the Forge. This has been Forged at the Table. I am your Dungeon Master, Charles. And what we want to do is we want to play games with you. If you want to get involved in some Dungeons and Dragons, if you would like to get involved in Star Wars from Fantasy Flight Games, Call of Cthulhu 7th Edition, Doctor Who, Blades in the Dark, or any of another myriad of games coming this fall, this summer, and in the future for this channel, all you need to do is drop a follow over here on our Twitch channel, get involved on our Discord, and we will happily get you guys involved in some games as they open up. We have 18, I believe it is, slots, possibly 24 opening up by the end of May. So we need players. Of the current like 9 or 10 campaigns that are being ran, to give an example, only one of those is a house game. That happens tonight at 9 p.m. Eastern here on the channel, and that's called A Long Road. The other ones are all filled by you guys, our followers and our subscribers, and 3 of those are actually being ran by subscribers and followers that are the DMs, where I'm not even involved. So that's completely up to you guys. So please drop a follow, get involved in what we're doing here, and we will happily get you involved. So let me go ahead, before we do the giveaway, we're going to go ahead and send it around the horn, starting with Subsys Cyber. Any closing words, my friend?
Thank you very much for the game. Looking forward to the next combat, even though because of Source and Uthul, we're not going to be able to do it for a little while. So,
Source.
Wow, it's always my fault. Yeah, so thank you, Charles, for running lots of fun, even if I'm now going to be waiting 35 days to find out what that crossbow bolt does. That's going to be fun. Yeah, about there. The reason, though, that I'm going to be away is I'm going to Eurovision, so anyone that's, enjoys Eurovision, hooray! For everyone in the States who has no idea what Eurovision is, look it up. You won't regret it, I promise. But yay.
All right, Firehawk.
Thanks for running the game for us. I am just really glad I didn't kill someone this time.
Yeah.
You killed Granny.
No, I didn't.
All right, Uthal, Storm Knight.
Yeah, again, thanks to you, and thanks to everybody watching as well for tuning in. As the other guys said, it's going to be a little while for the next one. I'm going to be indulging my other hobby of live action role play, which means putting on some armor, putting out a sword, and beating nerds up in fields instead. No dice.
Nice. And Villain Theory.
Yeah, thanks for the game. Thanks for running it, Charles, and we'll see you in a little while.
Right. And once again, if you want to get involved, it's real simple. Drop a follow, get involved over on our Discord. Remember that tonight there is going to be at 9 p.m. Eastern, episode 9 of The Long Road. If you want to see some Dungeons and Dragons zaniness, please tune in on that show and find out if love's still in the air. I'm going to give one last bit of information. You're going to notice there that there is a new bits thing that is called for the Bubbles and Forge t-shirt production and art. We are now going to be seeking funding to get both of those shirts made and put out into the world for sale. So that's what that one's there for. The love and support you guys have given this channel and all of our endeavors have been absolutely amazing. And I look forward to getting to know many more of you as time goes on. I guess we got to do a giveaway here. So let's go ahead and do one more giveaway. And we are going to do it right now. Yes, we're going to do it right now. Boing. Firehawk.
Wow.
What?
Rigged.
I didn't even.
Rigged.
I did
Rigged.
not even type in the words, so I don't know why it's doing that.
Man, that's the way Nightmock goes. And guess what, Fire? You're going to have to stick with it. I'm going to reach into the box and pull one out and send it to you. So there. Deal with it. I don't know why it's got you in the list, but it's got you in the list. So you're in the list, so deal with it. You get some free dice and stuff. That's all right.
Okay, all right.
That's all right. I think I've got some more to give away tonight. Possibly some more tomorrow. So again, thank you everybody for coming and hanging out here at Forged at the Table. And again, if you haven't been over to D&D Beyond, do yourself a favor, go check that website out. It is absolutely beyond your wildest imagination. It will handle all your D&D 5th edition needs. If you want to get involved in a game here, I beg of you, please drop a follow on our channel. Get involved just like that. that, get involved over there on our Discord. We will get you into game. Like I said, we've got 18 to 24 spots that are going to be opening up in various games over the next couple of months. We have stuff that's coming on board. We have 5 active Dungeon Masters right now. I am talking to 2 more Dungeon Masters. So I'm always trying to bring more people into the community, and that's exactly what we're doing here. We're trying to build a very positive, fun, game-related community. So please get involved. I want to give one final shout out to Elfina for the follow, to Devin Rue for the host, Your One Nightmare for the follow, Mathafastora for the follow. I'm slaughtering it. I'm sorry. Silent Sentry for that 36-person host. That was incredible. Riverbottom Studios for the follow, and Married to Gaming for the follow. Thank you all. Welcome to our unique and yes, sometimes dysfunctional family. You can find us over on the Discord, and you'll be able to see me tonight as I begin to tell chapter 2 of the love story between the gnome Regina and the halfling Belton, and their fiery passion as it grows or dwindles away into cold, black-hearted ash. So thank you. I don't think I've left anything out. We will see you guys hopefully tonight for that show. We have a show tomorrow at 5:30 p.m. Eastern, Adventure Weekly, which is a great and over-the-top, wild campaign involving some legendary dwarf stuff and all of that. So for now, I'd like to say thank you. Actually, hold on. Can you all stick around for just a second longer? Let's go share some love. Let's go send some views out to one of these other D&D Twitch channels. Let me go see who's running right now. We like building the community, and one of the ways we can build this community and make it stronger is if we share the love and we go and hang out with some other people. So let's go see if we can find another channel out there. I've got one in mind right now. So we are going to go pop a raid on these guys. And let me get their name up here. They are live, right? Yep, they are live. Cool. So let me put this in there. Please jump into the raid. Share. Thank you, Finn712 for the follow. Thank you. Welcome to our unique and sometimes dysfunctional family. If everybody would do me a favor and please jump in on this raid. Go say hi to Tall Squall and let's go share the love of the Forge with these folks. Here we go. Again, thank you for hanging out, and hey, let's play some games. Booyah. Then we get to sit here for a couple minutes and be like,
Yeah.
So yeah, that's the fun thing. So we got 22. Yeah.
How's everybody doing? It's good.
22. Come on, folks, jump in, stick around for that raid.
Let's raid, folks.
Yeah, let's raid. Let's go share the love. Let's spread the Forge love. That didn't sound right.
I was so confused the first time you actually raided because I was at work. I stepped away, came back. I'm like, why is it on different channel?